In this video, you'll learn how you can help your young athlete with their mindset while you all are training together. So I was talking to one of my clients the other day who's a young baseball player. And towards the end of our session, his dad came on the call and his dad was asking me about, how they could have better sessions in the batting cage together. Because a young athlete, he and I have worked a lot on his confidence. We've worked a lot on him managing nerves and anxiety. And we've also worked a lot on him handling frustrations and mistakes. Now he's doing this incredibly well during games, and he's also doing it really well when he's working with a private hitting coach. But his dad was telling me that when it comes to he and his dad working together in the batting cage, it's a lot easier for his son to get frustrated because it's just them two working together. And this is a common theme that I see with a lot of different younger athletes I work with, where when they're working with another coach or they're with their team, sometimes it's easier for them to keep their composure, but tougher for them to keep this composure when you all are working together, when you as the parent are trying to help them. But the truth is, this is a time where it should be fun for you two, right? It should be fun for you to help your young athlete and improve their skills. And also it's a time for you to work on their mental game as well. So when I was talking to this dad, he and I were going over different strategies that they could use together. And what I introduced to him was this idea of, number one, focusing on improvement and progress more than trying to have every single swing be perfect. And I think that's a great mindset shift and perspective for you to take with your young athlete, is let's focus more on this improvement. So what are you improving today? What are you working on? So when you're going into the session, whether it's a hitting session, working on their jump shot, working on their goalkeeping skills, whatever it might be for you and your young athlete, you want them to have a very clear idea of what they're working on that day. Because it's tough for us to feel like we are focusing on improvement if we're going out there trying to be perfect that day during practice. So first and foremost, let's focus on improvement. What are you trying to learn today and what are you trying to improve? Now, the second thing that he and I spoke about was using this time when they were training together to work on the mental game as well, work on the mental side of the game for him, especially when it comes to managing some frustration. So the young athlete and I have talked a lot about a strategy that he has in place for keeping his composure, resetting when things aren't going that well for him. So we talked about using that strategy when he is in the middle of training with his dad. So the strategy that we talked about was when he has a bad hit or when he mishits a ball or has a swing that he doesn't like, instead of getting frustrated about that and going back and having 3 or 4 more swings to try to figure it out with those swings, we talked about pausing, taking a deep breath, resetting, and then thinking to himself, what adjustment do I need to make? What's really interesting about this is that parallels what he needs to do during a game more so than just trying to swing and swing and swing until he figures it out for himself. Because during a game, if he has a bad at bat, he needs to be able to reset, number one, so he can go play well in the field. But he also needs to be able to reset for his next at bat and make an adjustment for that next at bat. So with your young athlete, let's say they are a basketball player. This similar process can take place if they're working on their jump shot. They miss a couple shots in a row. Instead of trying to keep shooting and keep shooting and keep shooting, have them pause, take a deep breath, reset themselves, gather themselves back together, and think, what's the adjustment that I need to make? Same thing is true if you're working with a young golfer. And I've worked with a lot of young golfers on, hey, let's not just try to be fast when it comes to working on our putts or working on our tee shots. Take yourself some time, right? Reset between every shot. Reset between every swing. If you have a bad swing, the ball doesn't go where you want it to. Don't get frustrated. Take that deep breath, reset, think, what's the adjustment that I want to make? So take that time when you all are training to practice this skill of being able to reset and being able to make adjustments. The other tip that I gave this dad, and one that actually helped incredibly well, and he told me it was the best thing for them to help let go of this pressure that his son felt when they were training together, was the idea of having a set time that you're training and not feeling like you have to finish on one that was perfect. So him and his son, if they had the idea that they were training together in the batting cage, they were going to go hit in the batting cage. A lot of times his son felt like he had to end on a perfect swing. Now, admittedly, I was a baseball player. I played baseball in high school, college, and a little professional baseball as well. I always wanted to finish on a good swing. But one of the things that I remember happening time and time again is I left a batting practice session feeling frustrated. Not because the batting practice was bad, but because I didn't end on a good one, so I kept swinging. Now, at that point in the training, I was tired. I was physically tired and I was mentally tired from all the work that I'd put in. So it was tougher for me to end on what I felt was a good one. A, because I was being too hard on myself and I was being a perfectionist. But B, because I was tired, right? So I was taking swing after swing after swing. They weren't good swings. And that's where we start to see bad habits form. But it's also where we see a young athlete leaving training feeling frustrated instead of feeling satisfied with the work that they put in to help themselves progress. The truth is, when it comes to training, what we're after is a good training session. It doesn't mean you have to end on a perfect one. So what he and his son did is they said that they were hitting for this specific amount of time. When that time was up, they were finished. They didn't worry about having to end on a good one. And the dad actually sent me a text the next day and said that that simple idea right there really helped when it came to reducing the pressure that his son felt. So his son was just free to focus in on hitting every single rep the best he could instead of feeling like, okay, we're finished. Now I have to end on a good one. I have to be perfect on this last one. So I think those are 3 really good tips that you can begin using with your young athlete. Focus on progress instead of perfection whenever they're training. So know what you want to work on that day. And then when you're training, when you're in the middle of this training session, help them reset themselves, pause, try to make some adjustments, because that's a skill that they need to have during games as well. And then the last thing is have a set period of time that you're training and don't feel like they have to end on a perfect one, because we don't want to instill in them this idea of perfectionism. And also we want to make sure that they feel good about the training session in general, instead of feeling frustrated that they didn't end on a perfect one at the end of their training session. Because all in all, we want them to be focused on consistent progress, because that's how your young athlete really gets to be the best that they can be. And we want these training sessions, especially the training sessions they have with you as their parent, to be fun, because as soon as that fun is taken away from the game, we see fear grow, anxiety grow, and then we also see confidence decrease, and so their performance level will decrease. So it's important to keep this fun environment for them to train in. Now, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new episodes each week on helping you build mental toughness in your young athlete. And if you have any topics that you would like me to cover, please leave them in the comments below.